Hello friends, today let me show you guys my new post Cyberstorm Access branded deck profile. And yeah, we're just gonna straight go into the deck profile. I'm gonna play 3 Guiding Quem in my deck list. I decided to go with this ratio because this is our main normal summon. I always want to see this card in my opening hand. 3 of this because this helps a lot to not lose against just Ash Blossom. Then together with the 3 Guiding Quem, I'm gonna play 3 Fallen of Albus. Yeah, you can play 2, but I highly recommend playing 3. I have a lot of situations where I really go through 3 Fallen of Albus because yeah, I just need them. You send one with Quem, then maybe you draw one, and then you send another one with Granite Fusion, and you also want to see Fallen of Albus in your hand as part of your combo. It's just a combo piece that you want to draw, which helps you to play through Ash, and it also Fallen of Albus is your main interruption on the opponent's turn. So it's really important to have 3 of him in your deck, and it's also really good if you draw one. You want to draw this card, so you play 3 of him. Then I cut it down on the Oliver. This is a really good card, don't misunderstand me. It helps you get more frequent to your brand fusion, but it's not your main normal summon anymore. You really want to normal summon the Guiding Quem, and if you have those 2, you probably gonna normal summon the Guiding Quem. Only if you have no other option to get to Branded Fusion, you're gonna normal summon the Aluber. But the problem always with Aluber was if you have to normal summon him, Branded Fusion is like a really big choke point, and also have different targets to special summon from opening. So Aluber is still a really important piece of this deck, but it's not your main normal summon anymore with this version of the deck. And I'm also gonna play 2 Blazing Cartesia. You can make an argument playing 3 in this version because you have a lot of Guiding Quem when you normal summon Guiding Quem. You can just special summon Cartesia for free if you send Fallen of Albus, and there is also a really good combo with Cartesia, Light Monster, and Guiding Quem. You can just achieve a lot with only having Guiding Quem, Cartesia, and also a Light or a Dark Monster in hand to fuse with Cartesia. I'm gonna show those combos later. So she really does help you with her quick effect fuse to play without Brand Fusion. This is like really strong to have her. So yeah, you can play 3. I think 2 is actually enough because you can just search her or send her. You can send her with Branded Fusion and special summon her back with Quem. You can send her with Quem and special summon her back with Quem, or special summon her with the fusion deployment. So I think 2 is like enough. 1 is too less because sometimes you really need a second one. But yeah, I think 2 is like the perfect ratio. Now we're talking about probably the most important cards in this deck. Yeah, it's the free Branded Fusion. This is just still the best card in this deck, and it wouldn't be this good without Brand Fusion. But this version, as I said before, can play without resolving Brand Fusion, and it can also put up a really strong board without resolving Brand Fusion. I will show you 3 combo lines later, 1 with Brand Fusion and 2 without Brand Fusion, that really do achieve a lot and can also make game-winning boards without resolving this card, as I said before. This is like the way important change that that Cyberstorm Access brought us, that we don't have to resolve the Brand Fusion anymore to win. Now, yeah, and as I said, to keep this promise, we have to play some other cards. The other one is Nadir's Servant. I would argue that Nadir's Servant together with Quem is as good as resolving Brand Fusion. So if you have Quem, Nadir's Servant, and Brand Fusion, if you get Ashed, it does like nothing. You have still like the same board with Nadir and Quem. It's a 2-card combo. You can also use Nadir on its own. It doesn't achieve that much, but yeah, Nadir with Quem does like almost the same. I would argue even more than Brand Fusion. So yeah, Nadir is like a really strong card in this deck. When you're playing Brand Opening, this card just got so much better with the release of Guiding Quem, and yeah, because you have now two really good targets for it. You have the option to special the Oliver or the Guiding Quem. This just opens a whole new world, because now brand opening is not just a worse Oliver, it just gives you options and then you still play free fusion deployment, because yeah, this gives you Fallen of Albas or the Ecclesia, the Cartesia, not the Ecclesia, sorry. And yeah, this, it just gives you a lot of options. This is like so crazy good, because this one gives you those two, this one gives you Cartesia and or for or Aluber. This here also can search you for the Guiding Quem, Ray Fusion. Yeah, those four power spells, I would call them, give you like a lot of options and a lot of ways to play around now, because they released Guiding Quem, which is a Dogmatica monster, and also a Despia monster at the same time. This just makes it really great. And now for the quote-unquote breaks that Branded really has to play, but had to play like a million one-offs in the versions before. But in this deck, I really focused on cutting the bricks down to a minimum amount of cards, because I really want to play more non-engine cards, which this deck really needs in this matter. And I also like it that this deck can do that. Okay, for the first one, first one-off, it's Dogmatica Maximus. I think this card is really great, especially if the people do not expect Branded that much anymore, and people do not play Branded that much anymore, because like super heavy, purely, and also the Kashtira deck, also Mathmech for some degree, and Sprite and Runic. You have like a ton of decks in this format, so it's like really unlikely that you play the mirror match. Not really unlikely, but a lot less likely than the last format. So I think it's worth it to play Maximus, because this one really just makes your combo skyrocket with Nadir Servant. It just gives you so much more when you play Maximus with Nadir Servant. Yeah, it's fine to just play Nadir and search Guiding Quem, but if you already have Guiding Quem, because we play free Guiding Quem, because we really want to draw it, we can search for Maximus, and yeah, Maximus just does everything for this deck. This is like so crazy to resolve this card. Then you still play like Tragedy and Ad Libitum. Those cards are really crazy, because this one also searches you Guiding Quem, because it searches the Despia monster, and this one can be sent by the Grand Guignol that Cartesia summons. So yeah, those cards still fire. They're like really good. And to pair up with them, we have the one Brandon Red. You can make an argument playing two, because this is also okay to draw, but I really want to draw Branded Fusion as a card in this deck, and if you go higher and higher, you won't draw Branded Fusion as much. And this deck really really benefits from drawing Brand Fusion or Brand Opening, and having your normal summon still for the Guiding Quem left. So yeah, and so I only play one. You can play more, that's like totally fine. Sometimes you also need more. And then the 41st card, it's the Mercuria. You don't really have a way to search this card in this deck, and it's really highly cuttable. You don't really need this, but you can send it with Guiding Quem and then just reborn it. And I also want to play it because we play Shifter in this deck, so we need the Mercuria to play. It also gives you an option to out the Kashtira Rise Heart, because you can summon the Rindbram, which you also play in the extra deck, and this is like a really nice addition to play the Rindbram, and it also triggers then under the Kashtira Rise Heart. And yeah, you just have some situations where you really want to have the Star Brigade Mercuria, and yeah, that's why I still play it. It's the 41st card. It's cuttable, but I play it because of the reasons I pointed out. So that's it for the engine. Now we are coming to the non-engine cards. The first thing I want to point out is that I decided to play Triple Tactics Thrust. This is like a new idea, because card that's called Fusion Duplication, came out in Cyberstorm Access, and this just does a lot for this deck, because if you get ashed, you can just set the Fusion Duplication with the Triple Tactics Thrust, copy the Brand Fusion in the graveyard, banish it, and then just use the Brand Fusion in your opponent's turn again. So this really helps a lot against Ash Blossom. So yeah, this is the first target for the Thrust, and we have even more targets. We play the Talents for sure. This is like some of the best card that you can search with the Thrust. And also I'm playing one Dark Ruler because this helps to outboards. And we have another, I would call this more brick than the others, but Herald of the Abyss is like such a good card against Purely, because it just outs the Purely Nora, which you have like a bit of a problem. You can out the Purely Nora, but not if it's like pushed with the attack points. If it has the one Purely spell that pushes the attack and defense points. Yeah, on top of that, I am playing 3 Drawn Lockbird, because it's like the best card right now in this format. It just stops Super Heavy Samurai. It's the only card that really does stop Super Heavy Samurai, so you have to play it. It can be a bit weird if you go first and then drop it on them, then you can't really Chimera, but to be honest, if you drop Drawn Lockbird on on like the most combo decks, this stops them, and Branded is like the only combo deck that really doesn't lose against Drawn Lockbird, and so you don't really have to Chimera. And if you play against a control deck, you don't really have to side this in or drop it. You can just fuse the wave with Guardian Chimera. And also control decks can't really break the Branded board, because it's like a really strong board. And the other card I decided to play is like the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I wasn't really sure if I want to play this, but I think there are no better options than the Ghost Ogre, and it does a lot of things, and also makes the super heavy board a bit weaker. And if they only have like one card to play, it can also stop the super heavy board. So I think this is like the only hand trap that can trade 1-for-1. If they only have one starter, this can stop the super heavy board. And then the last card for this deck profile is like called by yeah, we have a hand trap format right now. People are playing like a lot of hand traps. This card is still good. It's also good against super heavy samurai going first. Just set it and then banish the one super heavy samurai card that's not once per turn and searches. So yeah, this is like a really good card against them. So that's it for the main deck. Now I'm gonna show you the extra deck. For the extra deck, we're starting with the mandatory Mirror Jade the Iceblade Dragon. You have to play 2. This is like way too good to not play 2. You really do a lot summon this hard with Fall of Albas in this deck. Yeah, it's just the heart and the soul of this version of the deck. It's the best card. And then you play 2 Albion. You have to play 2 in this version. I would also consider playing 3, but I think 2 is like barely enough. You can play around it with only 2. This is like enough, but it has to be 2. 1 is like way too less. But we only play 1 Lubellion because yeah, you just go into this once and then it's enough. And then later it also recycles itself, so it's like really fine to play only 1. And then we play 2 Grangoniol. You also have to play in this version 2 because you go into 2, you go into 1 in the first turn, and then into the second in the opponent's turn with the Cartesia. So you have to play 2. This really helps you with the plays. The first can send you the Albion, the second one sends you the Despia card, the Ad Libitum of Despia, to go for the big Chimera play that reborns Mirror Jade. So yeah, you have to play 2 in this version of the deck. Then for the targets that you send with Nardia or with Mirror Jade, we have the Titanic Light. This can be changed to something like a sprint, because this plays a bit better around the hand traps of the sea, and because it can fuse them away. So sprint is like probably the better option, but I also like Titanic Light because of its other effect. and the other effect is that it's like unaffected by monster effects and can be pushed like really big to out something like a Noir or anything else that has like high attack points. So yeah, I kind of like to play the Ash Dragon, and the other part that you want to have the Ash Dragon effect is you can special summon the Guiding Queen with it, and you can also, which is like really important, search or special summon a Fall of Albus with this guy. This is like really important because in a lot of situations you want to have a Fall of Albus added in the end phase to your hand to fuse it in the next turn with the Cartesia from your field that you reborn with Guiding Quem. So yeah, it's important sometimes to search in a Fall of Albus, and you don't have to forget you can also search Maximus with this card, which is like pretty nice. Then another target is Rindrum. This is like the grave effect of this card is like so good. You can send this with Nadir or with Maximus or also with the Grand Guignol, and it just reborns you the Albus and lets you fuse in the opponent's turn. This is like such a good effect. So I mostly play this for the reborn effect. This is like the best thing on this card. And then also we play Garura. This is for the Maximus play because you send this with Nadir, then you search Maximus, then you draw a card, and yeah, Maximus needs to banish a card to special summon itself. So you can't send one of the other because they just trigger in the opponent's turn or in the end phase, so you don't really want to play anything else, so you just send Garura, take the advantage of drawing a card, then banish it, and then you can special summon the Maximus and then send what you really want to send, but you send two things. Then the Little Walif. This is like a really crazy and good card. It's crazy to summon off Granuliol because it's an interruption actually, and it also it just gives you everything you want. It can use special you Cartesia, it can special summon you the Guiding Quem, it can even special summon you like this Ecclesia in the end phase and then search like for Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis. This is also a thing I thought about playing because Fleur-de-Lis also fits really well into this deck because yeah, Guiding Quem is actually a Dogmatica monster. So you always, if you have Guiding Quem on the field, Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis is like life. So yeah, this is like really good. Just keep it in mind, this is an option to play. It's like a really good option. It's only one card, and even if you draw it, it's like good because you want to have Guiding Quem in your hand, and together they just function. It's like really cool thing. But yeah, don't underestimate Ludovalif. It's like a really good card. And then the last option is Despian Quiritus. This is like to have a fusion with the Despia cards. It's the only Despia fusion, and it's just here to bring out with the Grand Guignol. This is like the most important thing. Now for the last cards in the extra deck, we actually have the One Guardian Chimera. This is like mandatory. It's the best card to special summon out with the branded in red. This is like a really crazy and good card. Then we have Dracus Tapelia. This is the thing you go into when you're under draw. If your opponent is under draw and you can't go into Guardian Chimera, you just go into Dracus Tapelia. This is also a really good card that does a lot against Kashtira or other decks. And then the last card in the extra deck is Albion, the Sanctified Dragon. This card is just completely crazy. This is like such a good addition to this deck. It helps you like with a lot of things. The first thing, this card cannot be fused away. This is like an out against Super Poly. You can actually play around Super Poly with this shitty deck now because this card cannot be fused away. So yeah, this helps. And it also cannot be targeted. This card cannot be targeted. If the opponent has Purely Noir and Purely Noir is not pushed, you can special summon this. This has enough attack points and you can just run over it, and the opponent cannot target it. And the best effect is like you can special summon out only in the opponent's turn. It would be crazy if this card also does this in your turn, but it can only do it in the opponent's turn, and to special summon out two monsters from either graveyard. So you can just special summon your Fall of Albus and fuse the opponent's extra deck monster away into a Mirror Jade. And you can do this every turn. You can also special summon the Gimmick Puppet, but I do not play the Gimmick Puppet because your board is like strong enough. You don't have to play another brick to win. This deck can resolve Mirror Jade 4 times in a turn. 4 times. so you don't really have to play a Gimmick Puppet, which is a brick more. You can include it, but you don't have to. You don't have to with this deck. If you have the full combo and it resolves, you win. You can also play around evenly with Albion. Not a lot of people are playing evenly anymore because it does like nothing against Super Heavy Samurai and other decks, but this outs evenly. If you have a Fall of Albers and a Cartesia, you always have an out with an out against evenly. Also, this card is like really crazy against Kashtira. You just special summon a monster to their field. What do? You just special summon it in death. They cannot do anything. They have to hard draw birth to play. So this card is like a really crazy addition to this deck. Now we get to the side deck. We play free cross out. Ash, you can play around it, but it's still a problem. So you play the cross out. This just helps you a lot. But I think this card is way too weak going second. So I don't want to play it in the main deck. We have other outs in the main deck, but yeah, this card helps you like a lot against Ash Blossom. We also play 2 Ash Blossoms as a target because Ash Blossom is still like a good card to play. You also don't want to draw the Ash Blossom you have with the crossout, so the crossout is like useless. So we play 2, this is like a good ratio, and then you also play a Feather Duster to even this out. It's just a target for the rust because you do not play other back row removal. You could also play a Shadow Dragon, which is like a really good thing against Super Agent Organism, the card that doesn't that you play at all with this deck. So I recommend playing Shadow Dragon if you find the space for it. So yeah, that's it for the cross out. Now we also play like more Handtraps. We actually can play Dimension Shifter in this deck. Dimension Shifter does hurt purely. It does hurt also the Super Heavy Samurai deck. This is like withdrawal together. The only Handtrap deck can stop Super Heavy Samurai. Just stop the turn of Super Heavy Samurai with this deck, with this card, and then you will just go for Mirror Jade and yeah, pass it back to them. Also still play Bestials on the side deck because those cards are just too damn good. I only played 3 Magnamut. You can also play 2 Magnamut plus 1 Droid's Wound, but I think Magnamut is like good enough because it just searches your Fall of Albus, and to have Fall of Albus going second is like a really good card because you don't always need your normal summon in this deck. Then you can just normal summon the Fall of Albus, and this is like a really good thing that the opponent has to stop. And yeah, it just gives you a free Fall of Albus in this deck. And the last 3 cards in the side deck are 3 Kaijus. You need this against Purely Noir. And yeah, I thought about playing Kurikara instead, but the thing is, if they do not draw with the Purely Noir in the standby phase, if they play around Kurikara, which is like a common play, because yeah, a lot of people play Kurikara against this deck, then you have like the problem that they will just shuffle away everything in your graveyard with the Noir when they play, and then it's the point where you can drop Kurikara, but then it's like too late. And also this card is not dark or light, and it's not light or dark, so it's fire. It doesn't really work that well with Cartesia, so I really like to play the Dark Kaiju. Okay, for the first combo, you really don't need any branded fusion. It's more than enough. It's to have like Guiding Quam, and also cut in a way to Cartesia. So it doesn't matter if you have those cards directly in the hand or another way to get to them. And you also need 1 light or dark monster in your hand that you can fuse away. But you play a lot of light and dark monsters, so yeah, it can just be Ghost Ogre. It's like more than enough. Yeah, you start by just normal summoning the Guiding Quam using its effect, and in this point you just send a Fall of Albus into the graveyard. This is like really important that you specifically send Fall of Albus. And yeah, because you have a Fall of Albus in grave now, you can special summon the Cartesia. Then you use the effect of Cartesia to fuse. You fuse her away and also the light or dark monster that you have in your hand, and they both go to the graveyard. And you will special summon the Grangoniol, the Dusk Dragon. Then you use the effect of Guiding Quam and also Grangoniol. Grangoniol will send you the Albion into the graveyard, and Guiding Quam will special summon you back the Cartesia. from your graveyard because a monster was sent from or left the extra deck. That's like the word that Guiding Quam uses. And yeah, then you will just go into the end phase, you will trigger the Albion, Albion will set you the Branded Red. This is your board for the opponent's turn. Then it's the opponent's turn. Yeah, you have to wait until the opponent has monster special summon from the extra deck, because you want to use the monster to special summon the Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. So yeah, you just wait until he commits into like the Link 1 from the Super Heavy Samurai monsters, and then you can use either the Guiding Quam right now, or you just use the Cartesia effect and fuse away the Cartesia. So you can actually make a chain. You can just go Guiding Quam effect and Cartesia effect. Cartesia fuses itself and the other Granguignol on your field into the second Granguignol, which you really need right here. And then you special summon back the Fallen of Albas from your graveyard. Then you will use the Granguignol as the Channeling 2, Fallen of Albas as the Channeling 1. Granguignol will send you from your main deck the Ad Libitum. That's why you have to play 2, because you want to have the Ad Libitum in the graveyard. And for the Fall of Albas, you need to discard 1 card, and then you fuse away the Fall of Albas and their extra deck monster to special summon the Mirror Jade. You can also special summon this in the extra monster zone, because sometimes you really need the space for the other monsters. And then your opponent does something else, then you can use the Mirror Jade effect and send like another Albion as a follow-up. Then yeah, he does something else. You have the Branded Red to get back to your hand the Ad Libitum of Despia. Then you fuse the Ad Libitum plus Guiding Quam or whatever else you want to use, and you go for the Guardian Chimera. Then yeah, use Guardian Chimera, draw 1 card and pop 2 cards of the opponent, and special summon back through the Ad Libitum the Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Then you can use the Mirror Jade actually again for Titanic of the Ash Dragon. So there's like a lot of interruptions. You still also haven't used the Granguignol. You have another one in your graveyard that you can use and banish and special summon like the Lulova Lilith, which is also another interruption. This is like a whole lot of interruptions, and you don't even have to use Branded Fusion to achieve this. Alright, the next combo is a combo with Guiding Quam and also Nadir Servant. Yeah, you just start with normal summoning Guiding Quam, and at this point you can either send Fallen of Albas or Guiding Blazing Cartesia. The one you don't have in hand you will send right here. If you have none of those, you will always send the Fallen of Albas, because if you get ashed on the Nadir, you at least have the Fallen of Albas that you can special summon in your opponent's turn with the Guiding Quam. So against Super Heavy this is like pretty good, because they cannot really out the Guiding Quam without going into their extra deck. And yeah, at the point where they go into their Link 1, you just use the Fallen of Albas effect and fuse it away, and then have a Mirror Jade, and then yeah, have 2 interruptions out of just Guiding Quam. And yeah, then you actually just use Nadir Servant, and you will add to your hand the Dogmatica Maximus at this point, because you always have, you actually have the Quam, and you will send the Garura to the graveyard, and then use Garura's effect and just draw a card. Yeah, then we will special summon the Dogmatica Maximus by banishing the Garura, and then use its other effect and send Albion and also Lulova Lilith. Then you go into the end phase, then you will trigger the Albion to set the Branded Red, and also the Lulova Lilith to special summon the Guiding Cartesia, the Blazing Cartesia. It's not the Guiding Cartesia, it's the Blazing one. And yeah, then it's the opponent's turn. It's the same as before. You wait now until he completes an extra deck monster onto the field. This is like the ideal point to interrupt them. And yeah, then you can just start with the Cartesia, or if you have to interrupt them by yourself, you can also do this by just using the Cartesia effect. Then yeah, you can also trigger the Guiding Quam, but then it's not like that good. You don't have that good of targets for the Albas. So yeah, you just wait, then use yeah, use special summon. I made it too fast. You go for the Granguignol and you special summon the Fallen of Albas, and you use Albas effect and also Granguignol effect. Discard 1 card, and you will send with the Granuliol the ad libitum, like the turn before, and then fuse the Fall of Albus away for the Mirror Jade. Yeah, and then it's actually the same like before. You have the setup with the Mirror Jade banish, and then the Guardian Chimera that pops, and also the ad libitum that revives the Mirror Jade again, and you will have like 2 cards follow up and 3 removals, no 4 removals actually. The Guardian Chimera can pop 2 from the board, so yeah, and also you have 1 more interruption with the Fall of Albus and also Granuliol. So this is like a whole lot of interruptions without using Branded Fusion. And now finally I'm gonna show you guys a combo with Branded Fusion. But yeah, it nearly does the same as the other combos, but now it's just Branded Fusion. So this card is actually interchangeable, which makes this deck so much better because it's like not a huge choke point anymore, which what I said actually before. Yeah, you start again, normal summoning Guiding Quem using her effect, saying Fallen of Albus. Yeah, business as usual, because if you get ashed, you get ashed. And then use Brand Fusion. Oh, you don't get ashed, then you will send another Fallen of Albus, and at this point another Cartesia. You can also do a different route with the other Lubellion, but yeah, I like to show you this combo because it ends on the new dragon. Then you just fuse for the Albion, and then you have to use your chain links carefully. You have to use Albion effect and also Guiding Quem effect in one chain. So yeah, you use Guiding Quem and special summon back the Blazing Cartesia, and then with Albion you will banish the Guiding Quem and also one of the 2 Albas you have in your graveyard. You banish those 2 and get to your field the Albion, the Sanctified Dragon, and yeah, then you will use Blazing Cartesia's effect and fuse Albion and also Blazing Cartesia into the Granuliol, the Dusk Dragon. And at this point you have again different options that you can do. I would recommend sending Despian Luluba Lilith, and then in the end phase you will get the Branded Red through the Albion and also another Guiding Quem. Or if you want to go really safe route, you can also special another Cartesia, but if you special Guiding Quem, it's a bit more value, and you can trigger its effect if you use the Granuliol effect or Albion to fuse with the Fall of Albus in the grave. Then it's your opponent's turn. Then you will use Albion effect. Normally you wait with this combo until the opponent has an extra monster, but this time you don't have to, because you just special summon to your zone the Albus, and you can give the opponent the Albion because it was properly summoned. And yeah, then use Fall of Albus, discard 1 card, fuse the Albion away, and you can use it again in the end phase because it was on the field, and special summon the Mirror Jade. And then you can use the Guiding Quem effect, special summons back the Cartesia, and yeah, now you have like a lot. This is why I told you to put it in the EMZ, because now you only have like 1 free monster zone. So now use Cartesia effect. If you already used Mirror Jade, you can actually use the Cartesia to fusion summon away Mirror Jade, and if you haven't used Guiding Quem because you, I don't know, hard draw Cartesia, you can also reborn the Mirror Jade with the Guiding Quem, which is like really cool in the action. But in this version, I'm just gonna fuse away those 2 and yeah, get another Granuliol. Granuliol sends you ad libitum again, and yeah, now you will have the same as before. You have the Branded Red and with the double Mirror Jade banish and the Chimera that pops. So yeah, this is what the deck can do at its best. You don't really need a Gimmick Puppet if you have like those many interruptions and like 10 ways to get to a board like this. And now I just want to show you guys as the last combo a bit of a funny combo. It's the I use Mirror Jade 4 times in the opponent's turn combo. It's a bit long, but I like the name. And to make this combo, you just have to have a way to have Guiding Quem and also Blazing Cartesia on the field before you branded Fusion. So you just start with the Fusion deployment and special summon out the Cartesia. This helps you to play around some various hand traps to start like that. Then you normal summon the Quem, use the Quem effect and send the Fallen of Albus into the graveyard, which is like important to send this one. And then use the branded fusion. Oh, we don't get Ash, that's pretty good. Now we can do a full combo. We send Fallen of Albus and also send the Tragedy right here. With the Tragedy, we can just search now the Ad libitum. And yeah, I forgot to special summon the monster. You also have to special summon Lubellion when you send those two cards. Yeah, you will use Lubellion channeling 1 and discard one of your other cards in the hand and search your Ad libitum into your hand. And then yeah, you just shuffle away the Lubellion and one of the Fallen of Albus that you have in your graveyard. Now you get the first Mirror Jade, and now you use the Mirror Jade effect for the first time in this game. Send Albion. And we will banish the Mirror Jade itself. We will use the effect of Blazing Cartesia and fuse the Ad libitum and herself to go into Grangunyol. And yeah, you will use then the effect of Guiding Quem and also Grangunyol. You can use Grangunyol as Chainlink 2 to chain block something like the Ogre, but they would have Ogre before if you use Guiding Quem. And then you special summon back to Cartesia and also send something like Garura, because you need the other targets in the extra deck to send them in the opponent's turn with Mirror Jade. So yeah, now we send just the Garura and draw a card. Oh, we draw another Ogre. So yeah, you will have 2 cards now in your hand. And also, which I forgot, you use the Ad libitum to special summon back the Mirror Jade. This is a part you shouldn't forget, because it's like the best part of the combo. And then it's like the end phase, you use the effect of Albion to set the branded red. Then it's the opponent's turn, yeah. And with this combo, you don't have to wait for anything, because you have like a bazillion negates, and not negates, it's actually just banishes, but banishes are pretty good. So yeah, you start with the first time using Mirror Jade. Yeah, we just sent Albion. Then we use the Blazing Cartesia effect, fuse away the Mirror Jade and also the Grangunyol. And right here, I would recommend going into Dracostapelia, because it's a pretty good interruption as well. And yeah, then you can use the Guiding Quem effect and special summon back the Mirror Jade. Then, yeah, as you thought, you can use the Mirror Jade again, send the Rindbram Dragon to the graveyard, banish something else. Then we still have the Brand in Red left, and yeah, Brand in Red adds you the Ad libitum back. And then we banish the Mirror Jade, the Ad libitum, and at this point we can just banish the Guiding Quem. We have like more than enough stuff. And we summon Guardian Chimera, draw another card, and yeah, pop 2 cards and special summon back the Mirror Jade. Then we can use the Mirror Jade for the 3rd time in this turn and send Titanic Lad, banish something more. And now just imagine they somehow out the 3rd Mirror Jade. It's like no problem. You still have the option to use the Rindbram effect to banish itself and special summon back yeah, Fallen of Albus out of your graveyard, and then you can use the Fallen of Albus again, discard a card, and yeah, fuse for the 2nd Mirror Jade. And then you can use Mirror Jade again if you want to banish something. Now we don't even have a good target in the extra deck left. We just have to send like Albion or Lubellion, because we're out of good targets to trigger. And yeah, as you can imagine, you can also use in the end phase Titanic Clad and Albion, and yeah, the other one you actually used. And you still haven't used the Grangunyol, which is still in your graveyard and which you can banish and special summon the Ludovalative. So this is like so many interruptions, I cannot count them all. You have like 4 Mirror Jade banishes, you have the Dragostapelia, which is 5, you have the pop of Guiding Chimera, which is 6, you have the Despian Ludovalative, which is like 7, and also the Fallen of Albus banish, which is like 8. So this is like a whole lot of interruptions. That's like completely crazy. So yeah, it's just a fun combo. I don't think you have to use Merjade 4 times in a turn to win with this deck. That's not necessary, because like 4 interruptions is probably enough for the most decks. So yeah, but I just want to show you guys what you can do actually with this deck and how crazy this is. I hope you guys liked this video, and I just can say thank you for watching when you stayed until the end. So yeah, be safe guys, and have a nice day.